Well, yeah, I guess.
Fucking tanks.
When in doubt, blame the tank.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to our phone lines. Again, if you'd like to call the show, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, or you can do like Yuzuki Genryuki did from Tonberry.
I'm sorry. Actually, our anime show was last week, so we're going to have to say...
Oh, you're hilarious.
I thought so.
Anyway, you can do like Yuzuki did and call in at limitbreakradio.com/Discord if you have Discord. Yuzuki, thanks for calling Limit Break Radio.
Oh, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up? What's going on? Hi.
So I'm calling in for the thing about the leveling potion.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been lurking about the YouTube channel because due to the time zone difference, it's kind of difficult to like get a hold on the live show.
Hey, well, we appreciate the effort that you've shown in calling.
What time is it there?
Yeah, I tried. Oh man, it's 2 a.m.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to answer your question quickly so you can go to sleep.
Say hi to Nika for us.
All right. No, but I'm calling from Malaysia, so yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I think that's you're definitely the first caller from Malaysia that we've ever had.
Let's check it
That's
off.
great.
Check it
Yes.
off the globe.
That's right. Yep.
Because Thornberry is actually home to a lot of Southeast Asians, actually,
Good to know.
Japanese people. Yeah.
That's what's up.
So recently my friend, he just joined FF14 and he is not taking the grind well. And he is basically bitching about like the grind every single night. It's like, oh my god, for fuck's sake, why am I a FedEx boy? Like, why am I delivering this thing to this guy? Like, why is Minfilia so useless? Like,
Why do I have
is
to
Zion,
dance
like,
for silks?
Well, okay, but the thing is that it's part of the reason I feel like that's such an important experience is because it sets the common expectation. Like it sets up, like we rely on that joke all the time. Minfilia is useless, and if you've never gone through the A Realm Reborn storyline, and if you just had that bottom lined for you, I don't think you would get the same impression of Minfilia being useless. You'd then have a wave of new players that would come in and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. She was badass and the leader of the Scions.
Because the first day that he got into FF and he got to like the Rising Sands, was it? Waking Sands.
Waking Sands.
Yeah,
he was
Waking
like,
Sands.
whoa. Minfilia's like, wow, she's so pretty. Wow, tits McGee, right? But like after a week, and he's like, fuck that bitch, you know? She's not getting anything done. So the thing is that I kind of like got an FC mate to borrow me her account. So to shut my friend up, I gave him an emulation of the jumping potion because I actually talked to him about it. And he was playing a tank. He was interested in playing all 3 tank classes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And after letting him play like Drax and VR60, he said, yeah, this jumping potion is a no-go because it just doesn't work because it was just too much for him. Because like
you don't know how to play the job.
Because like I have to agree with you guys because the thing is that the ARR story is basically a giant tutorial and you just can't skip it. But like if they really do have to, like an alternative could be in like something like maybe you wake up with the echo and like, you know, in the beginning of the game and boom, like suddenly you get thrown into like before the dawn so that at least you get like Heaven's Word as your starting point. That's my friend actually like was only interested in the Heaven's Word content, not ARR, sadly. But he's getting there, and after like playing Drax, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to like farming fates and shit. So
Yeah. You know, actually, you bring up a good point, and I only just this minute realized it. 2.0 does kind of act like a big tutorial.
Yeah.
2.0 is FF13 pre-Cocoon. What the fuck, guys? Why does Square Enix keep doing this to us? Like,
because you didn't notice this time.
Here's a 14-hour tutorial. Son of a bitch! Again, you got me.
Thank you.
And we played it for a year. Or 2 years. Jesus.
I think it'd have been hilarious at the first fan fest. Yoshi's like, congrats on completing the tutorial. You did it.
It does, but no, it is a great point because, you know, the dungeons and the leveling system, the leveling structure does really teach you how to play the job properly. Now I'm curious, how long ago did you do this experiment, and when you did it, did they have the player guide? What did they call that? The beginner's hall or whatever it is?
It was last Friday.
Last Friday.
So
okay,
yes, they did.
They do. Okay, so do you know if he tried to use that as a resource?
He didn't do shit because he was hell bent on getting to like end game. He was hell bent on getting to 60.
I'm going straight into 857.
Yeah. He just wants to go to like the savage race and stuff because he hears a lot of stories, right? Because there's actually quite a healthy fan base from Singapore, which is where Arctis is from. So like he has a lot of Singaporean connections, and like when he hears stories about like Nidhogg Extreme and like how Heavensward is like basically like a really really good example of storytelling even in MMOs, he wants to see that, but he's not seeing it in ARR. Even at that time I'm telling him like, yeah, you know, once you reach Castrum, the story actually gets really really good. Like he plays classic FF. His favorite FF is like 7 and 9. So I told him like, you know, you'll get fight Ultima Weapon, you get to see like this amazing plot and shit. And it's like if you skip this, you just can't handle Heavensward because Heavensward just tosses you right in.
Yeah, come on. He plays FF9. Castrum is like Pandemona.
Yeah, you know,
yeah, true.
It is. That's a very very good point. And I think that's just a great firsthand example of why the jumping potion specifically doesn't really work for FF14. And see, now here's the thing, Juxta, we didn't have you on the last show.
You're welcome.
where we had initially talked about the jumping potion. We know you played WoW for a long time, and this was something that WoW had done early on, where it wasn't necessarily the jumping potion that was added a little bit later, but you had ways of sort of like inflating your levels or like super grinding and stuff like
friend.
The recruit friend, that sort of stuff, the pre-leveled characters. Guild Wars, the original Guild Wars did that. I'm not sure if Guild Wars 2 still does that, but Guild Wars would give you like a fully max leveled character with some basic starter gear and say, hey, you can go PvP now and stuff like that. So what do you feel about the jumping potion, man?
You know, for Final Fantasy 14, I feel like I'm just hopping on the bandwagon, so I feel like I really need to try to make a point that says I think the jumping potion is a good idea, so I'm going to. The jumping potion is a good idea that Final Fantasy needs because, let's face it, 80 to 90% of all the new players are going to be cutscene skippers, and they know how to play MMOs already, so, you know, just let them skip everything.
How do you feel right now, Juxta?
I'm dying inside. It was really
that is a really bad argument right there. It's just not a good argument, man.
It's the best you could do.
You know, okay, like it is very
okay.
It's what everyone said.
Hang on.
It's just too early.
Hang on. Let me quote the internet. Tell me how you really feel. Okay.
It's just too early. I mean, maybe if Square Enix keeps introducing expansions where you have to sit through 100 quests worth, and you have like 400 or 500 quests you have to go through before you can actually end up in the stuff that everyone else is doing, maybe.
See, that's the thing, is that, you know, while I admit that ARR is a bit of a grind. That stuff in the middle that you're doing in like Costa del Sol, it drags. It definitely drags. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, but the thing is that like I don't feel like Heavensward had any of that. Like once Heavensward is done and people experience ARR Heavensward and then are looking to get to wherever 4.0 or whatever 4.0 is, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like at that point, like once you get done with 2.0, 3.0 is just going to feel so fast in comparison.
Yes, except once you get to 3.1 and 3.2, and then it kind of drags again.
If you're trying to do the content, if you're doing the story, that's going to blow by.
I mean,
that's my point, is that the entirety of 3.0 taken as the entirety is not going to feel that long.
3.0 was perfect and fine. 3.1 and 3.2 dragged shit. Dragon Song War was really bad.
The story, maybe, not the quests.
Oh, no, not the quests.
Like in terms of like because that's the big complaint, is it's not that there's a ton of story. It's what you have to do to get to that. It's the stupid fetch quest that you've got to do. There's a little bit of that in Falcon's Nest. There's a little bit of that maybe early on in 3.0.
Very little.
And it's very minimal. Once you get past 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, you're going to go through those very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Very quickly. And so I don't feel like you're going to have the pacing problem that 2.0 had. And also I feel like 50 to 60 goes by very quickly as well. That XP curve is not that huge, and you know that they're going to adjust that XP curve as the next set of levels comes out.
Haven't they already adjusted the XP curve?
I in some ways, I think they have, but I think that they'll probably further end up adjusting it.
Oh,
come 4.0. Because they want the current 4.0 levels to be steep. They wouldn't want the 3.0.
I see what you're saying, but I think I agree with Juxta. Like right now, yeah, but when we're getting around to that 4th or 5th expansion, the Wings of the Goddess or the Seekers of Adulan time period, that's going to be a lot to grind through to get caught up.
Yeah, but will it?
Yeah, it will be.
But will it?
Like, you're going to get to the end of ARR and be like, I don't want to keep going.
But will it?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I think it will.
I don't think.
You'll end up being like level 70 before you even get through
Dude,
Dragon Song War.
It's true.
The MSQ quest for 2.0, you basically get like an entire level for doing a fucking quest. Like it's ridiculous how much XP they end up pumping out.
Plus the gear they give you. I mean, I seen somebody with a beginner's ring gave 30% XP for the first 30 levels.
There you go. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that there are a ton of items like that too that you can use to help
Rings,
the
bracelets.
Yeah.
What we also don't know is we don't know how intertwined with Heaven's Ward this next story will be.
Yeah.
Because like if you think back to 11, Rise of the Zilart very much piggybacked off the main story, a lot like Heaven's Ward piggybacks off the main story here. But then Chains of Promathia went a very different route. We're curious to see if they'll go that route again, or if they'll just continue piggybacking the same kind of story.
See, but the thing is that with 11, that was dealing with like nation forces. There wasn't like a single force that you were a part of that was driving the narrative forward, right? Like you were just plopped into a nation. You join up with that nation, and then events unfold around you.
Well, that's kind of how this one started too. You start off as a member of Gridania or wherever, and that's you eventually get tied in with the Scions.
And you know what? This kind of harkens back to something that Kelly said during that E3 interview, where
Juxta's the best?
No, where 11 didn't care if you lived or died. You felt more like an inhabitant of that world as opposed to the savior of that world. The warrior of light.
Yeah.
The warrior of light is the savior of the world. Like from the minute like that you meet Minfilia, she's like, boom, warrior of light, you're gonna save us all. And you're like, what? Really?
That's hype. I'm level 20, but okay.
Yeah, like I guess. Okay, that
Not gonna say no to that swag title.
But you know, like there was a distinct narrative approach that 11 took that made it inherently different than what 14 does.
You are garbage.
Well, no, 11, you are not garbage. You're just always along for the ride. You're there with the main character. You aren't the main character.
Yeah,
And
things
you
sort
are
of
garbage.
happened around you.
And you're
also
garbage.
You're garbage.
And also you're garbage.
I mean, and that stays the same all the way up pretty much till Rhapsodies, when they're finally kind of like, oh,
By the way, you're
you
not
saved the
garbage.
world like 4 or 5 times. Maybe you are a badass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're still garbage.
But at the end of your garbo.
But there's something about that approach where and I know that Kahlo actually had identified this early on the show and with it, this was like during the 2.0, but that just because the narrative is set up where we are the saviors, where we do play such a intense narrative role in this world, that it takes something away from the world building aspect. It feels like there's like FF14 is very much a world that feels like when you teleport away from that zone, everything just stops. Everything you just hit a pause.
It feels like the world's built around you.
Yeah. And with FF11, it didn't feel like that.
No.
It sort of just felt like you were put into a larger world.
If life goes on, and when you return, you'll pick up wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
I mean,
their storytelling reflected that too. Like with
I
Chains
think
of
so,
Promathia,
yeah.
like the rest of the world, they weren't just kind of sitting around waiting for you to come back and report. They were doing stuff most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's just an interesting choice that 14 went with. And I'm not sure that now that they've, put themselves in that position that they can kind of take that back.
You're not wrong. Like, that's kind of what I was hoping they would do with Heaven's Ward when we first had the Fall of the Scions. I kind of hoped it was going to be that reset point to knock you down a peg.
No, you're just rebuilding the thing.
And that kind of bummed me out at the end of the Heaven's Ward storyline. But I was like, I really thought this was their chance to knock us down a peg and have us assume that role of kind of like the silent protector of the world, not the, oh my God, the Warrior of Light's here. Holy crap.
Right.
But with with Heidelin saying that she's failed so many times, I mean, they could fail again. I mean, she could fail again, and we could reset.
I guess.
Maybe.
I mean,
then we become the Warriors of Darkness.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That's weird.
We chop off their heads and drink their bloods.
Just wake up.
This is not Game of Thrones, goddammit.
Yeah, maybe it should be.
Well,
Okay, well, you're not wrong.
Battle of the Warriors of Light and Darkness.
Anyway, if you'd like to give us a call, and by the way, thank you to Yuzuki for that call. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715 or limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We're going to go back to our phone lines and talk to Diamelos. What's going on, Diamelos? Thanks for calling Limit Break Radio, man.
Oh, okay, hold on 1 second.
Oh.
No, once. Okay, we're good.
It was such a good lead up.
It was like 30 seconds. I wait for you to like thank the caller, and then I bring in the guy on Skype.
Oh,
you can't mix Skype and Discord.
I thought that when Kookie sends me a message that meant that there was a new person ready.
Well, we were ready.
Okay.
We're just waiting for the cue to kill the Discorder.
I see. All right. Anyway, Diamelos, welcome to Limit Break Radio.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to put my thoughts with the jump potion, and one argument for it that I never enjoyed, that people don't have the time commitment to play it.
Then don't play an MMO.
Yeah, because the MMOs are inherently a time sink. It was way worse than 11. I've heard, it takes a month if all you do is play 14 to get to 60.
Right.
My 3 years in 11 to get to 75 want to say something.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard for me to be sympathetic on that count.
Does anyone else here? Because before I ask, I guarantee you do. Do you remember your first job hitting 75? The moment you saw that level up?
Yes.
Do you remember where you were? Remember what job it was? I guarantee you do.
It's definitely Dark Knight, and I don't remember where I would have been meriting or leveling. I think it may have been out at like Babiki Bay or something.
Babiki Bay, that was same for me. Babiki Bay.
May have been.
Mine was Red Mage Kardavamire.
See, you remember that because that was the end of a probably at minimum 9-month grind.
Red Mage, I assume Colibri Camp. I guess I don't remember.
I also remember beating. I beat Matt at 8 p.m. on Christmas.
Ooh.
I remember that too.
What job did you say?
Red Mage. I lost count how many times it took me to beat him.
He was one of the hardest.
True story. I actually don't remember any of my Matt fight.
Really?
I was so high. I was so stoned. I was blazed out of my mind. I beat Matt and went to bed.
The Dragoon Mott fight was such a pain. You had to at the right timing super jump so that he'd do his big weapon skill on your wyvern and kill your wyvern instead of you, and then you could pop a Vial Elixir +1 to get half your HP back and finish him off.
I do remember using a Vial Elixir +1.
Yeah, and did you start the fight with a Icarus Wing or whatever it was?
Yeah.
No, you had to do the sleeping potions and the Oppo necklace. That was it.
You're right, though. I really dislike the argument of time allocation because, I mean, that's if you don't want to make the commitment, then really you shouldn't play an MMO. And
the thing is, when 2.0 came out, I had just it literally started the start of term for a new school that I transferred to for college.
Okay.
And I could only play on the weekends. It took me 4 or 5 months to get to 50, just playing on the weekends.
Wow.
That's it. Not skipping anything. And I even spent some time leveling alt classes or the other classes for cross-class abilities. So
Jeez.
It's not hard. And in 2.4, before I transferred my main over to Sargentanis, I made an alt. And in 2 weeks, in 2.4, I got it to 50.
Well,
Two more weeks, I got past the storyline.
Well, but the thing is that, like, you know what people would say who are on the other side of this argument is that, oh, well, that's really easy for you to say. You've already da-da-da, and you don't have da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, dude, like, here's the thing, is that each of us has made time. You know what I mean? Like, whether or not you are made of time or not, a lot of us make time to make the commitment to sit down, log in, and play this game.
We have a lot of nights where we're like, you know what? I'm only going to get 5 hours of sleep tonight because I want to play for a couple hours before I go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, not just that, but I mean, there's also other games that we like to play. And often it's, there's a choice. Like, there's an allocation of time choice. Do I want to play 14 or do I want to go play Dark Souls? You know, like sometimes like not everyone understands that commitment that somebody makes to an MMO, especially one that has, resetting points every week. So there's benchmarks that you have to meet, a minimum benchmark that you have to meet every week.
And come on, is your kid's softball game really that important? I mean, he's not going to remember.
It's all bad.
There's also the argument of it's like, oh, well, people get bored with the story, so they quit after a week or two. It's like, well, if they're going to get bored with the story, they're going to get bored with the lulls between patches.
That is also true.
Like, if you were up to date to 3.3, are we on now? I forget.
Yep, yeah. 3.
But yeah, if you were up to date for 2.3, there's not a whole lot for you to do that you haven't already done besides Mackay.
And Aquapolis.
Aquapolis.
Yeah, no,
I was really looking forward to Deep Dungeon. I want it to come out now.
Well, hopefully
we don't have to wait long.
Yeah, hopefully you won't have to wait long. Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah,
I think they said like middle of July. So
yeah, hopefully you won't have to wait terribly long. But yeah, no, Jumping Potion again. Really not the time in FF14.
Like, no one's in favor of this.
No, we've taken two episodes of calls on this. Not a single person has bothered to defend it.
I have a good defense for Jumping Potion now.
Do you?
I actually formulated this last week while I was listening to the show incognito. All right, so
that's a lie. You don't listen to this show.
Who would buy a Jumping Potion? Bad players.
Okay.
Would bad players stay subscribed to the game? No. Therefore, a bad player would buy the game, not even subscribe for another month. So this is Square Enix's way of getting their money's worth out of these bad players, because they're going to buy the Jumping Potion. They're going to get up to max level, and they're going to be bored even sooner. But they wouldn't resub anyway.
But they bought the Jumping Potion.
They got the
I like what Juxta's is saying. Anyone who buys a Jumping Potion gets banned immediately. It's a great idea.
That too. That could also work. This is just a cash grab for bad players who have literally no sense of delayed gratification.
But Juxta, they went out of their way to say it wasn't a cash grab. And we all believed them.
Come on.
I tried to say it without laughing. I'm sorry.
Only you believe them.
But is there... Okay, if we're going to look at it from that perspective, is there any chance whatsoever that Square Enix could end up retaining some of those bad players and they become good players? Or at least they hang on?
The same argument could be made for if I could play with my friends right now with endgame content, then I would still play. I mean, I feel like both of those segments of players are tiny and negligible. I feel like a bad player is going to stay a bad player, Jumping Potion or nay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, if
you said that a lot.
If you have end gamers that have friends that want to come into the game with a jump potion, do you honestly believe, or anybody honestly believe, that the learning curve to become an end gamer could be accomplished so quickly?
Well, I just remember moments like when I was in the level 30 in that area, like starting to work on like my very early rotation when I could finally do like full or true thrust, full thrust, vorpal thrust, get all those, and then like learn where to mix in the buffs to do the most damage, and like that was like the beginning of learning what would later be my end game rotation, because it's just expanding on that. But if I had just been plopped down in a chair with all of these abilities that I had to pick from, I would have no idea.
Right. Diamelos, thanks for your call. We appreciate it. If you'd like to call Limit Break Radio, sound off on any of the topics, jumping potion, Aquapolis, anything else, 810-515-8715, Limit Break Radio on Skype, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts that you would like to share, we're going to go back to our phone lines and, in fact, to our Discord that you could call, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Shiras Heartslot of Excalibur, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, how are you guys today?
Doing well, and what would you like to talk about?
All right, I want to talk about the potion thing, and just to add on to the topic of people not having time for the jumping potion, to let everybody have an idea of, I'm an endgame raider. I'm on second intermission of AAS right now. I am very far into that with the time commitment that has been necessary to get that far. I earned that position in that raid so far and very close to beating it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's been my work schedule for the last 2.5 months. I have worked 70-hour weeks. I have gone with nearly 6 hours of sleep, average per night on those weeks. I have been damn near brain dead. And before that, I had finished up 2 classes and acing them both.
Mm.
And I'm more than willing to put in the time. So why do you need a jumping potion again?
Well,
what benefit do you think it's going to give you towards endgame?
Well, yeah, but
Savage
I've
ain't
got a
that
lot of Game
easy.
of Thrones I need to watch, so I don't have time to level up.
Yeah, right.
I
got a season to catch up on.
I read forums a lot, so like that's a good 3 to 80 hours of my day right
It
now.
really
Listen,
is.
I've got like 3 role plays going on Belmong. It takes time. It's really consuming.
It really is just a cop-out excuse to say you don't have the time.
Exactly. It's how you want to invest your time. And
Right.
you know what? If you aren't willing to say that, shut the fuck up and let the door hit your ass on the way out, as I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Get her done.
And the thing is that there are so many games, just games in general, not just MMOs, but so many games in general that already cater to that attitude, that already reward you unnecessarily throughout the entirety of the game. And I don't know, like it almost doesn't feel like an accomplishment to get to the end. I mean,
Yeah.
And the same, like, why would we want the same to be said for MMOs? I feel like MMOs are sort of like, they were sort of like the last bastion of that, like, I want to
Play of the game.
You just triggered Juxta so hard.
I
Just the word.
like, seriously though, but like MMOs were like the last bastion of that sort of play style and serious like character development and character growth throughout, playing and leveling and fine-tuning your stats and stuff like that. And a lot of it has been dumbed down. A lot of it has gone by the wayside. And I hate to do this, but this is a lot of the problematic stuff that people were raising around WoW. Like MMO players that were already playing MMOs when WoW came out, and they just started giving shit away or charging people, money to get levels and stuff like that. Like, this is sort of like the problematic part of that business model, because the mere fact that Blizzard does it means that every other MMO has to find a way to respond. And if they don't have it, Yoshi P has to field dumbass questions like, why don't you have a jumping potion, faggot?
Lick my balls.
And you know what? My reply is, fuck Blizzard.
That's
I would love to
he's
see Yoshi
P.
reply that way.
That's,
Just fuck Blizzard.
that's sort of a great position to take in the abstract, but WoW still accounts for 8 million players.
Blizzard games?
That's so old school.
Overwatch is making money hand over fist.
Oh God, the amount of money they made in May.
Overwatch? What is?
Blizzard is going nowhere. And
Right.
the thing is that when you have the dominant audience and you introduce stuff like this, then yeah, it really does put every other MMO and every other person who's trying to step into that arena into a position where they're like, players are going to expect this kind of stuff. And I don't think that is Square Enix's fault. I think that that's the player's fault. I think that he didn't come up with this out of nowhere. Someone asked him about this. Well, when can we get a jumping potion? Like, yeah! It really is. It can be frustrating, especially for someone who has put the time in. And I'm really curious, and I have not had the time to go look, but I'm really curious about how Elder Scrolls Online's community is taking Bethesda's proposal to just allow automatically level 60 characters out of the gate, or level whatever max level is there. So I don't think there's never a point where this is received well. Like, this is never received well by a community that has put a lot of investment into your game.
Is this easy mode?
That was from Melky Thera.
Heartslot, thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it. If you want to call